Shane, Shane, Shane. Shane, 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 Shane. A-L-A-N, Allen. A-L-A-N, Allen. Allen, 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 Allen.
Hey, it's the 30th Parallel, episode 55, and I am your sort of okay host, the Hoppitarian. We're on a very tight schedule today. We gotta really pinpoint out what we're gonna talk about. No bullshitting over here on this show. Got very important stuff to talk about. Stuff that I'm sure you're just waiting for our really good opinions on. So I hope everybody had a good May the 4th be with you.
Jesus.
Alan.
It's got to be the worst intro you've ever done. You need to go back to just having a clip play and then...
Yeah. Did you celebrate May the 4th be with you? Did you celebrate that?
No,
holiday?
I didn't. I'm not gay, so I didn't do that.
You didn't
and
see
Star Wars is dead. Like, why do people hold on to things when they know it's over, you know?
You didn't do the whole, like, you didn't see all those posts. Hey, May the 4th be with you. Hey, May the 4th be with you to all who celebrate.
Mm-hmm.
What?
No, I basically just auto mute and block everyone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
So everybody who makes the joke looking in all Duran places, that's an instant block. So if you're wondering why you haven't heard from me in a while, there you go.
You don't like puns?
No, I like puns. I don't like puns that have been retold millions and millions of times. Like, God forbid you write your own pun. I love originality. Like, I can even if I don't think it's good, I'm like, well, you know, I can tell they made that, as opposed to, you know, like you just see the same thing over and over and over again. Especially when you see the same thing over and over and over again in the same day, which is inevitably what happens on days like May the 4th.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that unwritten rule too, of like, if someone posts something that's really awesome, then you have two options. You can either share them, or you can just copy paste it and say, look what I did. And sharing it is the right thing to do. Copy pasting it is the wrong thing to do.
Well, there's plenty of people who do that. And this show is no exception. I'll screen record clips from someone's account, and I'll just play them and be like, I don't know who did that. That was me. I did all that. So I try and take all the credit because I'm such a good guy.
Yeah, but you're not. But when you play a clip on the show, you're not saying like, I'm a producer for CNN. This is my segment. What you're
Well,
saying, check out this segment from CNN. You know.
Good point.
However, we did actually briefly discuss this on Wednesday, that, you know, there's that whole thing of like, you know, little white lie here and there doesn't hurt anybody. So as a musicians know this. So Dave brought up the story. Dave, who he fancies himself a saint, which actually what it is the question was, what's something you did, you know, like something you lied about or whatever, or took credit for that wasn't yours. Mm-hmm. And this guy, he wasn't willing to actually give us a good, deep, terrible sin that he committed because he's a coward. Whereas me, I'm just, I don't care. And so for him, like, his deepest, darkest sin was one time he drew this political cartoon, like in high school. And then the high school newspaper was like, that's really good. We're going to print that. And he was like, okay. But he didn't make it. He literally just traced it out of like the fucking New Yorker. and then just didn't say anything. You know, it's kind of like, it's one of those things where it kind of starts getting traction all on its own. Yeah. And so then the lie becomes too big and then you can't tell the truth. And so I was like, so first of all, that's gay. However, as a musician, musicians know that if you're noodling around on the guitar or whatever, and you play something and someone comes along, by someone I mean hot chick, comes along and says, oh, I really liked that. What's that you played? if their question is what is that, as in they don't know, the answer is always, oh, just a little something I'm working on. That's all. It does. I don't care if it's fucking Freebird. You claim it and say I wrote that, and what did you think? We've all done it. Every musician in chat, don't lie.
Yeah, I'm learning how to play Blackbird by the Beatles.
Yeah, Beatles suck though. So that's weird.
How dare you?
Yeah, I went there. I don't care. Let's do it. Beatles blow.
It's fine. Whatever. I don't want to. We're gonna devote the whole show. Nah. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, we're doing good right now. The sidetrack only lasted 7 minutes as opposed to 57 minutes.
You know what is funny though, about the Beatles, by the way, is let me see if I can find that song. This is gonna take me a minute. Oh, here we go. So Kanye has a new song out, right? He has a new song out.
Yeah,
what is it called? What's it called?
HH, I think is what it's.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So I guess Spotify and basically any streaming platform. Yeah, we're not putting that on our platform. But John Lennon has a song.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know who that guy is, John Lennon, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He has a song
the one that got what was coming to him. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Woman, he has a song called Woman is the N-word of the world. It's on Spotify. John Lennon has that song on here. Like, it's right there. I'm looking right at it. How come that's okay, but Kanye West has HH, and it's like, that's too much.
Well, I'm sure that there's no shortage of hip hop artists that have all sorts of songs on there that say words that you wouldn't share in polite conversation. I don't know. It's striking me just now as we're discussing this that you kind of have like an original Beatles haircut, and so I'm worried now that you actually are secretly a really hardcore Beatles fan, and this has been a shocking moment for our friendship that I just dropped that little bomb in there.
You don't like All My Loving? You don't like that song?
I don't like any Beatles song. I think the Beatles suck. And I'm not giving them any credit for being like pioneers either. Get bent. No.
Hey,
in fact,
I threw a softball with that one.
I've talked to so many people who are like, okay, whatever. If you don't think the Beatles are that great or musicians or whatever, that's fine. But they pioneered music. I'm like, no, the Beatles themselves were influenced by tons of people. So no, that doesn't work.
Yeah. You don't like Rubber Soul? You don't like that album? Drive My Car? Baby, would you like to drive my car? You don't like that song?
I don't know. We've only got half of them dead, so we're halfway there.
You don't like Help? I Need Somebody Help? Not just...
I can't think off the top of my head a Beatles song that I was ever like, I like that. Let me put it on a playlist. There's never once in my life, as someone who has been deeply in music, there's never once in my life had a Beatles song on a playlist.
How about this classic? We All Live in a Yellow Submarine.
Yeah, that's terrible. It's not good. Like there's nothing redeemable about it.
Oh, that's great. I love it. They do have a really good song. It's called Hey Bulldog. And then, you know, like that, like the intro to that song? It's fucking banger. This will be clipped.
So I'm just saying you're the one doing this. It's not me.
Yeah,
you're doing it.
Yeah, I'm doing this. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, all right. It's fine.
Half of our audience is like, hell yeah, Shane, that's right. Other half's like, I hope you die.
Yeah.
Like, you suck. You don't know anything about music at all. Which is fair.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I listen to my music, I'm like, I bet like one other person probably likes the same kind of music I do.
Jay Forte over here in chat says, Shane literally naming all the reasons I hate the Beatles. Hell yeah. Let's go.
Oh, jeez. How about Mamas and the Papas? You don't like them?
The Mamas and the Papas? They're okay.
What about the Carpenters?
Jesus, what's wrong with you?
Ooh, this isn't like way old, but do you like Bare Naked Ladies?
No.
You know, like, oh man, come on. Especially when Stephen Page was the lead singer, that shit was good, in my opinion. Yeah, you didn't like 1 week. You don't like that song, 1 week.
No, it's just that whole era is just totally forgettable music.
Oh,
It doesn't change the musical landscape one iota.
No, I will
I
give
mean,
you this. I will give you this though about the Beatles, especially after the fact. Paul McCartney and that fucking Having a Wonderful Christmas Time. Ouch. That song. Woof. I don't know about that one. Sorry, Paul. I don't know about that one.
He's going to be dead soon, you figure? Like, how old's he?
Well, I mean,
Paul McCartney.
Probably have another 20 years, I think, right?
20? He ain't living 20 more goddamn years.
Oh,
No.
yeah. Yeah, I believe so. You never know.
Come on.
I'm going to guess he's 74.
He's 82. This
Dang.
Motherfucker's not living 20 more years. No.
Ringo. No. How about Mr. Richard Starkey? How about that guy?
Ringo's actually 2 years older. He's 84.
Oh, he's probably got 1 month left.
Yeah, I mean Ringo will be dead soon, but like that's not really going to shake the foundations. We got to get rid of Paul McCartney.
Okay, wait, hold on a second. Jay Forte in the chat said that song is fine. It's Christmas music.
Yeah,
come on.
What
so
do you
all
have
the songs
against Christmas, Shane?
All the songs I named from the Beatles were like, yeah, man, the Beatles suck. And I named Christmas, or whatever the fuck what the song is called, the Christmas song from Paul. To me, it sounds like he was like screwing around in the studio. And he's like, release that. That's fine.
Oh, in June he'll be 83. Let's go.
Oh, there you go.
We're just counting down the days. I just have to outlive Paul McCartney. That's it. I have a new reason to go on.
Oh, jeez.
I just have to live in a world without the Beatles. As soon as I accomplish that, my life is complete.
I don't know about this. Shane's War on Christmas. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. That's right, Jay Forte. They're heathens.
Well, speaking of heathens, a shitty situation is happening over in India and Pakistan. Very shitty.
Yeah.
Apparently war is happening over there. And I hope we send tons of money and materials to help with whoever side we decide to fund. So,
yeah. Whichever side we decide to fund.
Yeah. Probably
why
India,
is it,
right?
You're saying that like we're going to pick one side.
Oh, that's true. Okay, we'll give like 100 million to India and 10 million to Pakistan to make it seem like.
Yeah. Which is weird because it's like if you're giving money at all, then you're insinuating that you want them to keep going. Well, it's a negative incentive.
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked somebody's meme. They made an old Vietnam War black and white protest sign, but they changed the text on it to say, "No Pakistani ever called me asking about my long distance service."
I know.
So I don't know. I feel like as a general rule of thumb, I think the U.S. leans towards the India side. But A, who cares? And B, imagine how cool it would be if they actually went full nuclear and there was just no Indian or Pakistan anymore. Wouldn't that be like just the tits? It'd be so good. And then you start thinking like, I wonder what other countries, because like Russia, Ukraine's not even a place. It's just a province of Russia that's getting uppity. But
it's right next to Russia.
But what are countries that are at least capable of actually destroying one another? Like with India and Pakistan, it's like if they just go full nuclear, they'll actually wipe each other off the maps. That's pretty dope. So it's like, man, what are some other countries that can do that? I don't know. I've seen all the memes of people saying that, we can't let Japan get nuked anymore because they went from being like, the traditional warrior culture to anime. So I don't know if you want to feed that beast anymore, radiation.
Some of the anime you've been telling me about I don't know. I think maybe we're onto
Hey,
something.
hey, I'm up to like 4 people now that I've gotten to start watching that show. I'm going to get you guys next. It's going to be so sick. I need more people to talk about it so that I don't feel like I'm going to hell. Let's go. I've got, for real. I got like 3 or 4 more people now. I haven't heard from any of them though since they started watching it. So either they're like really into it or they blocked me. I don't know.
They saw like a couple episodes, like, what in the world?
Which is bad because you got to get through a couple of episodes before you got to get over the initial shock of what in God's name did Alan send me.
Yeah.
Before you start getting to, okay, I can sort of kind of see where this is going. But there's a few minutes there where it's like, okay, what even genre is this? What is this supposed to be? But whatever. Fuck it. I like it.
We can say that about a lot of anime, I guess. The first couple episodes, you're just like, the fuck's happening? And that slows
That's
down
an interesting thing because I saw a little like YouTube documentary thing on this recently where it was like, people used to say that there was like a 3 episode rule where you needed to watch a show, like any show. I'm not talking about weeaboo trash. I'm talking about just, any show, like watch Breaking Bad for 3 episodes, even if you don't like the first one,
That's right.
And because after 3 episodes, the people writing the show should have like been able to, reach like the first arc or whatever, whatever you want to call it.
Have some idea,
But they were making the argument that if you're watching a show, especially shows that have like shorter episodes, like, how a lot of anime, like if you're watching it without commercials, the episode's only like 23 minutes long. And like a chunk of that is the intro and the outro. And you're like, dude, this episode's like 15 minutes of content. And then we're on to the next one, Yeah. And so they were making the argument that you actually should be a 7 episode rule, which is a little bit tough to swallow because you think if you're watching a serious show, that's like 7 hours of like dedicating into something before you're making like a judgment, on it. Do I want to keep watching this? Well, I mean, there's some shows that only have like 8 episode seasons. So basically you're saying watch almost a whole season before you decide if you like it. That's a lot. But they did have a compelling argument for you should watch a show for 7 episodes and then you can make a judgment. And it actually kind of made me think I'm going to go back and look at some shows that like some of my favorites and different things and be like, what happens by the end of the 7th episode? And actually there's a fuck ton of shows where I'm like, yeah, if you watch 7 episodes, you're in it. You're committed at that point.
You gotta hopefully make sure you make it interesting enough though to get to that point.
See, our good friend Jay Forte actually wants to know what the show is. And so I'm just going to go ahead and drop that in chat if it'll let me. Yeah, that's the name of the show. You go. Actually, don't Google it. That's going to fuck it. Don't do that. Just watch it. Just watch it. Just watch the show. And may God have mercy on your soul. And don't think worse of me. I'm not endorsing what happens in the show. I'm saying the show is good. The main character is not my self-insert. Okay, I didn't do the thing.
I see a little bit of myself in that main character. Yeah.
I do. That's the worst part.
Oh no!
You know what the crazy thing is, and I bet you could think of an example or two of this. Have you ever watched a show where, like, again, say in the early part of the show, you're watching it and you're like, oh, they're introducing this one character. Man, I hate that bitch. This character sucks, Mm-hmm. But then after a while, like they kind of grow on you. And then all of a sudden, before you realize it, you're like, damn, that bitch I hated is one of my favorite characters now. You know what I'm like? You know what I'm talking about? Where it's like you're force fed a certain narrative or a character, and then it's like you can't help it, and now they're your favorite. And so that has happened to me on not just this show that we're talking about. It's happened to me on more than one occasion. But I've watched a few shows where when a character is first introduced, I'm like, this may actually make me stop watching it. Like I'm just not interested in wherever this is going. And then I watch it anyway, and then I'm like, damn, I love that character. I wonder what happens next. And that's, I don't know. I mean, is that good writing, or does that mean it was actually bad writing when they were introduced, but it got better? I don't know. I'm torn.
Yeah,
I know that there's a word for that. Like there's a word. I don't know all you people's words for stuff. All these different words that like label these different genres and characters and stuff. But there's a word for the kind of character that starts off kind of like mean or cold or removed and like combative, and then they like they soften up over time and, you know, like evolve into a different kind of character. I know there's a word for that. I'm not into this stuff enough to know that, but I've heard it before. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know there's I don't know if this is what you're talking about, but there is a term called tsundere. Tsundere.
Yes. Is it TS? Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So every time I've ever seen that character, my initial response is always, here we fucking go, dude. Like just write this character out of the show. I don't want them. And then they're my favorite character. And now everyone's like, Alan, why do you love his cousin that he fucks? And I'm like, I'm not fucking my cousin. I'm saying I like that character.
Yeah, so tsundere is a Japanese term used to describe a character or person who exhibits a personality that alternates between being cold, hostile, or aloof, and being warm, affectionate, or loving, often towards a love interest. So there you go.
Yeah, and then because I feel like people use some of these terms like for like it's a catch-all, you know, like they'll just every character that you don't like just gets thrown into the category, and I don't think that that's accurate. But there's a character in this show that in the beginning I was like, this is terrible, and then now I'm like, damn it, she got me. There's also, if you ever watch the show Chainsaw Man, there's a character in that show called Power, and I didn't like Power at all. Like this is just annoying. Like it's not really. I feel like this isn't for me. Like this character's not like I'm not the target audience of this.
Right.
And now I love that character.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm in too deep, man. That's.
I see that Power is a fucking lady with horns.
I mean, you know, what are you gonna do?
Maybe
she's a blood devil, a blood fiend in that show. Yeah.
Power. Oh, you're Power.
I've never heard that because I always listen to the English dub, so it's not racist Japanese. It's just English.
That's how they would say Power. If they're trying to say it in English, they would say Power. Yeah.
So, yeah, like I like that character now when initially I didn't. So my only recourse now is because all this happened because I was just trying to find new stuff to watch, and now my only recourse is to get other people to watch it so that I'm not alone. So if you watch it and when you finish, you say, Alan, that was really bad, and you should talk to somebody, then I'll know that it's me, you know?
Yeah.
But if you finish watching it and you say, you know what? They had me in the first half, not going to lie, but now that I've finished it, I think it's all right. Then I would feel better about my chances at eternity.
Jay Forte said in the chat, if I donate money, can Shane talk in a stereotypical Japanese voice for the rest of the show? That'd be very hard for me to do. I could do like phrases, but I don't know about the whole show.
So first of all, Jay Forte, yes, don't listen. He will do it because we'll do anything for money. We're whores. And second of all, it's not like Shane's Japanese. He doesn't give a fuck.
Well, that's true. That is true.
He doesn't give a shit. Yeah. It's not going to hurt his feelings. Actually, that'll make him happy. Fuck those people. That's what Shane says. Yeah. That's what he always tells me.
Well, I don't want to go too far, but what you were saying about India and Pakistan, because, you know, Korean, Japan have a...
Jesus, see? Listen to this guy. Are you kidding me right now?
I'm sorry. It slipped.
Oh yeah, I bet it did. Like just casually throwing the
It's like
Asian
World War
Endor
II.
in
It's like
there.
calling him Charlie.
Hmm.
That was Vietnam.
I don't know.
War.
I don't know a ton of Asian racial slurs. I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
Jap is not nice to say, but it's just short for Japanese.
Right.
You know, that can't be that bad.
So would it be
Or
like?
can it? I don't know.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's the way you say it. That's why it was so mean.
Yeah.
You fucking G. You know.
Yeah.
So, well, like I said, I know we're kind of limited on time. So I'm a good host. I don't know if you know.
All
I'm a
right,
very
Jay
good
Forte.
host.
Depending on how much money, Shane will talk in a racist Japanese accent, and I will talk in Indian telemarketer for the rest of the
Oh
show.
hell yeah! I'll pay for that. I'll pay for that. Let's go. Fuck my Japanese voice. I want to hear their Indian call center voice. That's what I want to hear. Hello, my name is Mark. Sure it is. Yeah.
No,
Sure it is.
no. I don't know. It'd have to be a pretty good donation. I mean, you know, we are trying to put on a live event here. I should have done that Wednesday. I should have said, all right, you donate money. I do racist stereotype accents. Those Japs had it coming. Go turtle boats. Oh wow.
I'm
Okay.
gonna go ahead and guess that I'll put it up here because he donated. So anytime you put up a dang, I'll put it up here. Very terrible language, but he says those Japs had it coming. Go turtle boats. Yi Sun Sin is one of the greatest admirals ever. Now I don't know who Yi Sun Sin is, but I'm going to guess that's a Korean general, admiral, whatever. I don't even know rank. So,
He's an
but
admiral.
thank you so much, Jay Forte, for that.
Known for his
donation.
victories against the Japanese Navy during the Imjin War.
Hell yeah.
And the Joseon period. I don't know. I'm pronouncing everything like in English phonetics because what else am I supposed to do? You know, I don't know how do Koreans pronounce J? Is it not J or is it huh or ya?
Yeah, Ja. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I mean it's
Joseon.
Joseon. How is it supposed to be pronounced?
I don't know, probably Jason. Like
Oh,
Jason.
so O is A? What the fuck?
Chosen. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Chosen.
Chosen, like we're
Yeah.
the chosen people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're the chosen people, right?
we're the
exactly.
chosen people because we're
Yeah.
from the chosen period in Korea. That's right.
Yeah, screw Jerusalem. We're the actual chosen people.
So I learned something today. How about
There you
that?
go. Yeah.
Neat.
Another thing that you'll learn, and I'm gonna screenshot or not screenshot. I'm gonna screen share this because it's very important. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it is the title of this episode. So I don't know if you know about this, but a fan sues NFL for $100 million over Shedeur Sanders' draft slide, citing emotional distress and trauma. Alan, when you're watching the NFL draft and the Cowboys were drafting whoever they were drafting, were you having some emotional distress? Like, I want them to pick so-and-so, but they're not picking this person. What's going on? And you were feeling mentally drained and not good.
If I was, I don't think it was $100 million worth. That's
$100 million. What the
$100 million. Yeah.
and I was looking at some Cleveland Browns clips of practice because I believe rookie minicamp starts as of was today, May 9th. And I saw some throws of Shedeur Sanders. Not bad. Some wobble, but you know, you do what you got to do. There's obviously some room for improvement there. Dylan Gabriel, whoa, that guy, he throws a good ball. So some stiff competition over there in the Cleveland Browns quarterback room. They have what, 15 quarterbacks there they gotta get through?
I know of 4
Yeah.
off the top of my head. Is there more than that?
I mean, obviously Joe Flacco, right? He's back.
I mean, Flacco's going to start the season.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. Deshaun Watson is still on the team, but he's not going to be
Yeah,
playing because
yeah.
he won't even be recovered. Even if he could play, and even if they wanted him to play, he's not there. And then they drafted 2. Did they already keep a third from the previous year? Didn't they? Remember they had one of those guys as like a quarterback with like 3 names.
Oh yeah,
Some
okay.
random.
So yeah, Deshaun Watson, as you said, Dorian Thompson Robinson.
That's it. Yeah.
And so now the Browns quarterback roster, because I'm reading this from a couple weeks ago, says Joe Flacco. Obviously, we mentioned him. Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, Deshaun Watson, and Kenny Pickett.
Oh, they got Kenny Pickett? Jesus.
Apparently.
That's so weird. Like, wasn't Kenny Pickett on the Eagles, and didn't he just win the Super Bowl technically?
Yeah, Super Bowl champion Eagle. Look at that. Kenny
Yeah.
Pickett. Yeah.
But if he was the backup to Jalen Hurd, and then he won the Super Bowl, but then like he got traded or got signed by the Browns, then that to me is like the Browns saying, like, he's basically coming in to be our backup and to see if he can develop into something better. But then they drafted 2 more quarterbacks. So what does that leave Kenny Pickett? Because if the answer is like, well, he'll just get cut, it's like, okay, well then why did they sign him?
On March 12, 2025, the Eagles traded Pickett to the Browns in exchange for a 5th-round pick in the 2025 NFL draft and quarterback Dorian Thompson Robinson. So they traded the guy with the 3 names over to the Eagles, and now Kenny Pickett's over there in Cleveland. So it's like the competition, Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders that they're doing. Is it just to be QB3? Because is Kenny Pickett going to be the backup? Like, is he basically the backup? Like, they traded him in, probably told him, hey, you're going to be the backup. And now Dylan and like, okay, so then what's the point of? And I know we talked this before, and I know we're like over the draft and all that stuff, but it feels like
it's the same.
A waste of. Yeah.
I feel like it's the same type of situation as with the Giants, where like obviously the Giants needed a quarterback, and they were almost certainly going to draft somebody, but you don't know who it was going to be.
Darts.
You don't know. You don't know who it's going to be. You don't know what the expectations are.
Right.
And then they went out and signed Jameis Winston. Now, from Jameis Winston's perspective, this is another opportunity for me to start.
Right.
And literally 5 minutes later, they signed Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
And of course, because he's Russell Wilson and because he's has more years in the league and all that, then the expectation became, well, Jameis Winston thought he was going to be the starter next year for the Giants. And then it immediately became Russell Wilson's going to be the starter, and Jameis Winston has to beat him out for the job. And then they drafted Jackson Dart. And I mean, at a maximum, they still have that one like Italian dude, Tommy DeVito. But to me, that means Tommy DeVito's out, right? Like they wouldn't sign all these quarterbacks and then because they're not going to have 4. Well, that's not going to happen.
You might need to keep them around because quarterbacks they get hurt a lot, so you never know.
I mean, drafting one is the same thing as signing one. So they just signed 3 new quarterbacks. So that means Tommy DeVito's out of here. He's going to the scout team. So that means it's Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, and Jackson Dart. So is Jackson Dart? I would think that they don't expect Jackson Dart to start or perhaps even play at all. To me, it's like Russell Wilson's the first string, Jameis Winston's the second string, and Jackson Dart's the third string. But again, Jameis Winston signed the contract so that he could be the first string. And then literally later that same day they signed.
Hey, maybe they should trade him to the Saints. He can go back to the Saints, have a reunion over there because he played there before.
Boy, the Saints.
Yeah.
Saints are
dumpster fire.
Yeah, they're doing it. I mean, maybe they'll trade him to the 49ers. I hear they still haven't signed a quarterback. So I mean,
I don't know what the fuck's happening. I heard things. Oh yeah, it sounds like the deal's gonna be done. I've heard the deal is done, and actually they're not gonna announce it until Monday or Friday. I don't know. It's just like I saw someone being like, the contract is signed, and it's for $49.49 million. I'm like,
Why the fuck? Because 49ers, right? So he's going to sign a contract for $49.49 million a year. Wow. So symbolic.
That's so stupid. Yeah, no
Why
one
would-
cares about that.
Yeah, I'm sure Brock Purdy and his agent's like, hey, can we make it 49.49? Yeah, that sounds cool. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, I mean, I could see, sure, sign him for $49.49 million a year, but then the question is it a 4-year or is it a 5-year deal? If it's a 4-year deal, it's technically not a $200 million contract. It might as well be, but technically it's not. But if it's a 5-year deal, then he's in the territory of the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. I think he still makes less actually than Dak Prescott, but he's in the ballpark.
All right, so back to this article about the fans suing the NFL. Sanders' draft slide surprised everyone. One fan so much that he is suing the NFL for $100 million in punitive damages for the harm caused to the plaintiff and the impact of the NFL's actions on his emotional well-being, according to court documents via MSNBC, that trustworthy news site. In the lawsuit, John Doe says he's a dedicated fan of the Colorado Buffaloes and that he closely followed Sanders over the past 2 college football seasons. The plaintiff claims that the reports and leaked statements suggesting that Sanders tanked interviews, wasn't prepared, and was too cocky in the pre-draft process helped create a narrative that unjustly harmed his reputation. These slanderous statements caused emotional distress and trauma to the plaintiff as a fan and consumer. The plaintiff alleged several claims against the NFL. Violation of the Sherman Antitrust Act.
Oh, God.
Violation of the Civil Rights Act. Oh, throw that one out the window. Intentional infliction of emotional distress and trauma, and violations of consumer protection laws. Oh, he has further requests. In addition, a formal acknowledgement from the NFL regarding the emotional distress caused by their actions. And the NFL is going to, 2, a retraction of the slander statements made about Shedeur Sanders, along with an apology for any harm caused to his reputation. I don't think that's going to happen. 3, implementation of fair practices in the drafting process to ensure that talented players are recognized and given opportunities based on merit. 4, and lastly, any additional remedies the court deems appropriate, including compensatory damages. No. So I think that's funny. Violation of the Sherman Antitrust Act.
So, I mean, obviously everybody knows that this is going to be dismissed with prejudice. If anything, this just demonstrates that what we actually need is civil suit reform. And what I mean by that is that if they should actually be able to deem cases, if a case is deemed to be frivolous, then they can actually disbar the attorney that took on the case and countersue the plaintiff. I think that would be great. So he should be sued because he's bringing up a frivolous case. And then because I'm assuming he's not representing himself. I'm assuming he found some attorney who's looking for free press. And so he's representing him. So that guy should lose his law license for this. But even better than that is, so he's saying that he's suing because he's suing the NFL because he didn't get drafted higher. The NFL doesn't draft anybody.
Yeah.
The NFL is not a team. There are member teams of the NFL that draft players. So suing the NFL because he didn't get draft higher, it's you'd at a bare minimum, you'd have to sue a team. And second of all, if you're claiming that he's a victim of slander, then Shedeur Sanders would sue the people slandering him and try to prove in court that their slander caused him, financial losses. Yeah. You as a third party can't sue because that guy talked bad about that other guy and now I'm upset. That's the stupidest thing.
Yeah, it's like if I wanted to sue Mike Florio for
Mm-hmm.
bad mouthing Brock Purdy, the greatest quarterback who ever played the game, for $150 million. That's probably not going to go anywhere. And I
Yeah,
could say what the
you
fuck
should
I
sue.
want.
You should sue for $49.49 million.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yes.
Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
God
That's
damn.
what you should do.
Shit.
Yeah.
All right, I want to sue the 49ers for not drafting him sooner. You should have drafted him first round. Not this, not whoever you drafted in the. When did they draft him in 2022? Who they get? Drake Jackson, who they just waived. Drake Jackson, their second round pick, because they didn't have a first round pick. You know why? Because they traded them for Trey Lance. So their first pick was in the second round that year when they drafted Brock Purdy. They got Drake Jackson. He's now waived because he's injured, and he will now be a free agent. So that went well. That draft class, terrible. Brock Purdy is the only one that's actually okay. Everyone else suck.
That might be part of the reason why the team is on a decline. Like you can only strike out on so many deals before the team isn't as good anymore.
And I heard rumors too that Trey Lance, when they picked him, they still weren't. People were still like, yeah, we shouldn't have picked him. We should have got Mac Jones, or they should have gotten like I don't even remember who else was there, but they should have gotten someone else other than him. Because Trey Lance, how many passes did he do? Not many. How many reps has he had? Not many. So he was raw, man. That guy was a fucking project. And they weren't even in a place to have a project quarterback. They were in the Super Bowl. They were like, their Super Bowl window was still wide open at that time.
Yeah. But
so I don't know.
The thing is I feel like in the same way that college ball has changed because of NIL and the likelihood, like you're going to have essentially free agency every single year. I think in the same way the NFL has changed to the point where it's not like the old days where you could draft guys to be projects and they work with your coaching staff and then they get good and now they're NFL players. If you're not already on the level, I'm not saying that you don't get better when you join the NFL. I mean, because they're going from being like 21 to 22-year-olds to being 23, 24, 20. You know, they go further into their athletic prime. They work harder, you know, all that kind of stuff. But if you're not already on that level, why would you draft the player at all? Why would you sign them for any amount of money? Why would you even sign them for $1? It's like, I would rather actually have somebody that knows the technique today and has already worked with the coaching staff before me to learn how to play football. That whole concept is ridiculous. Like the idea that you could bring in a guy and say to yourself that, well, we think that he has athletic talent, but he really doesn't know how to play this position or run our system or whatever. And so we're going to have to spend 2 or 3 years developing him. No, you develop talent. Like you develop, I was going to say you develop talent in college, but college is getting to the point where they'll just hit the transfer portal. And, you know, there's less and less players, even at that level, who, you know, commit as a high school junior or senior and then stay and then don't flip and then go to that school, go there for 4 years, graduate, and then go into the NFL draft already having a complete base for how, you know, how they're going to contribute to a professional team. That's becoming more rare. So it's definitely going to be super rare for an NFL team, because you think about it, it's like when you say develop a player, what does that mean? So you're saying that you're gonna have your coaching staff, your offensive coordinator, your quarterbacks coach, you know, whatever, is gonna take hours out of his work week to sit down with this guy and go over film and look at look at the playbook and then go out on the field and talk about mechanics and whatever. And they're going to hire like private coaches who are going to work with them in the off season. But they could be spending all that time like with the actual NFL players getting ready to play. Mm-hmm. So you're actually taking that person away from the core of the team to work with, you know, Bob over here, who's, you know, kind of jank, but he runs a good 40, you know, or whatever. Like he could throw a ball over them there mountains, but he's, you know, he's a fucking retard, but he could throw a football really far.
Could have won state.
Yeah. So that's I feel like that is really a relic of the past that isn't going to come back. So at this point, like you heard me this whole last draft cycle, I was like, I wouldn't even draft any of these quarterbacks because I think even the quarterbacks that are rated like first rounders are all suck. I think every quarterback this year sucked. Every single one of them I think are no good. This is going to be a historically bad QB class. And maybe in the next year or two, there'll be some quarterbacks come out that are like, because it's like the question is, if you look at the quarterbacks coming out in a particular class, is say, which of these quarterbacks do you think 5 years from now? So they get drafted, they go to a team, they play their rookie contract, whether they're on the field playing or whether they're on the bench because they're not the starter. And then when it's time for them to like sign a new deal, either with a new team or start for that team, how many of those players are ready to start in the NFL? So 5 years. In 5 years, which of these quarterbacks will be NFL starters? I'm not like Cam Ward was the one drafted first overall, right? But he's first of all, I wouldn't have drafted Cam Ward. And second of all, he got drafted by the fucking Titans.
Yeah.
So that guy may not be starting in the NFL. And look at Will fucking Levis. He's not even starting after 2 years. He's already out. So Cam Ward might not be around.
They don't play around.
I thought Marcus Mariota was a better talent, but 5 years down the road, he was on his way out. And then he had to go be a backup and sit on a bench for a long time. So, I mean, starter QB1 for one of the 32 teams in the NFL 5 years from today. I don't think any of those guys fit that description. Now,
Curtis
to be
Rourke.
fair, who?
Curtis Rourke.
Who?
He got drafted from the 49ers.
Yeah. Who? Yeah. Could you imagine this is going to make you so mad for me to say this, but I got to say it.
Yeah.
This is peak 49ers. They give in like it's all the way down to like training camp in fucking August.
Oh, I hope
they
not.
finally give in and pay Brock Purdy like $250 million. And then like week 2, like rotator cuff out for the year. No. And then like fucking Curtis Rourke is starting.
It's like when Trey Lance went down and Jimmy Garoppolo came in, played till about week 12, week 13. And then Brock Purdy comes in and steals the show. Yeah, it'll be like Brock Purdy goes down. Then Mac Jones is the backup. He goes down. And then the third string is, maybe it's Curtis Rourke. I don't know. It's him or Tanner Mordecai, one of those two. But let's just say it's Curtis Rourke. Yeah, and then he goes in and freaking – they're in the Super Bowl with Curtis Rourke. Holy shit. Crazy.
No, that's not what I meant at all. I meant more like they're 3-14, but
I'm being a homer over here.
I was thinking more like last year where they had all their off-season crap with like what's his name?
Yeah. Ayuk. Yeah.
Yeah, and then how many weeks did he make it? Like, he wasn't even playing great, but how many weeks was he on the field before it was like, all right, he's out for the year?
Yeah, I think it was like week 8 or something. He got his whole leg screwed up. Yeah, that was a bad injury too. And he probably not even going to play until mid-season this upcoming season. So yeah, it's going to be a while.
Yeah, so it would be peak 49ers for them to sign the deal, but then they don't have him anyway.
Yeah,
because of injury or whatever.
Because for some reason they don't. They're like, we'll draft a lineman in like the 7th round, and then we'll get a couple of undrafteds, and then we'll sign some free agents who are veterans or whatever. That'll be who's going to protect Brock Purdy. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of that, did you see that Shiloh Sanders signed a free agent deal with the Tampa Bay? So why aren't they suing for Shiloh Sanders?
Nah. He was a Colorado Buffaloes fan. Don't care about Shiloh. Yeah. I think what you're saying is that this case is going to be thrown out. Get the fuck out of my courtroom.
It's funny that he's suing for civil rights violations. You know, like they didn't draft him because he's black.
Number 1 pick. He's black. Come on.
They didn't draft him because he's black, even though other people did get drafted who were black. But they didn't draft him because he's black. But he also in the complaint said the NFL should be drafting based on merit. That was one of his bullet points. Is players drafted based on merit, but also you didn't draft him because he's black. Y'all are racist. But what if they didn't draft him because they were drafting based on merit? It's just what it's just that circular reasoning. Like it's no win for that guy. Look, I'll be the first one to tell you it is kind of one of those dirty secrets in the NFL that sometimes there'll be players that are really not that good, but they'll kind of like get hyped up. And it's kind of like it's artificial. Like teams will be like, "Oh yeah, we were looking at that Will Levis. He's got a good arm."
Like Tim Tebow.
And then, well, his wasn't. If anything, his wasn't artificial hype because he was like, a multiple national champion.
Well, I guess that's true,
Heisman Trophy winner and all that.
True, sure.
But I mean, I use Will Levis as an example. But there's one every year. Every single year, there's a player that gets hyped up. That when you actually even go look at their body of work, you're like. I mean, he wasn't like terrible, but if you're not a standout in college, how are you going to be one of the 32 best quarterbacks on planet Earth? Because that's what you've got to be starting in the NFL. It
didn't help Will Levis either that they were memeing him out like fucking from week one. You know, every single week. So I would see people be like, "Oh, I can't wait for next week because I want to know what the next thing he's gonna do that's gonna be memed." Every single game, it seemed like. There's the thing, like, him doing the thing where, kneeling and doing that, or him diving, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like
so every year there's a player who is genuinely not good and everyone knows they're not good, but they get artificially hyped up and then some stupid team drafts them too high. And vice versa, there's always going to be players where it's like, oh, they didn't, their pro day wasn't very good, or, oh, they didn't run a good 40, or, oh, whatever. They had this off the field issue and they dropped and then they go on to be all pro. And it's like, well, obviously hindsight's 2020, but if you were judging him purely on results and not on, he got a speeding ticket, then you would have drafted him earlier and he'd be on your team as opposed to being on that other team. So it happens every year. So that guy's basically saying, that Shedeur Sanders is the victim. He's the guy who he should have been drafted higher, but he was artificially suppressed as opposed to being artificially hyped. Where it's like that Tyler Shaw guy that the Saints got. Like, he's not even good for college. I wouldn't want my college team. He can't start for Boise State. And somehow he can start for the New Orleans Saints. That makes no sense at all. So he was this year's, like, Will Levis is that guy. Actually, I take that back. He didn't get drafted like in the first round. I honestly, you want to know who I think is this year's Will Levis? I will gladly go on the record. This year's Will Levis is Jackson Dart.
Oh yeah,
Jackson Dart is garbage.
Wow.
Like, He played at Ole Miss, which was a stat padding, all downfield offense type of a team under Lane Kiffin. And almost anytime Ole Miss played anyone with a pulse, especially on defense, they got absolutely railroaded, and specifically because Jackson Dart looked like garbage. So if Jackson Dart couldn't handle a top 50 college defense running a backyard football offense for Lane Kiffin, what's he going to do in the NFL? Nothing. The dude's trash. The last time I saw him play in college, it was when they were playing Florida. Ole Miss, their big feather in their cap this year was that they beat Georgia. Okay, whatever. Good for you. You beat Georgia. Like 2 weeks later, they get destroyed by Florida in a game where Jackson Dart threw something like 4 or 5 interceptions.
Whoa!
And I'll never. Yeah, I know that's triggering. I'm sorry.
Whoa!
But I know. But specifically, the last time I saw him play is he throws an interception and then goes on the sideline and cries. Ole Miss actually gets the ball back. He goes and throws another interception and starts bawling again. But then they do a review and decide that the defender was out. So he goes back out. Can I keep in mind, he's going back out on the field with another chance with the ball, but he's already had 2 emotional breakdowns on the sideline. He goes, and then his very next play is he throws another interception, and this one does count, and that ends the game. And he's crying again. Do you want your team to draft the quarterback who's like his last college game was having not 1, not 2, but 3 emotional breakdowns on the sideline?
Probably should have handed off the ball or something, at least once somewhere.
Well, they were down big, so they were having to throw the ball. But that's my point is Florida wasn't even that good this year, and then they beat Ole Miss, specifically because Jackson Dart literally couldn't see through the tears to find his receivers. Dude, that's look, I'm all for being a modern man and saying it's okay to be in touch with your feelings, but maybe not that in touch with them, and maybe not during the 60 minutes on the clock. Maybe wait to cry until after the clock reaches 0 is all I'm saying.
So I'm looking at the actual documents here. This PDF.
Oh, he's got the documents. Okay,
Yeah, got the documents.
Got the list.
Conclusion. Plaintiff requests that the court consider this complaint and take appropriate action to address the intentional emotional distress and trauma suffered as a result of the NFL's collusive practices and the harmful statements made regarding Shedeur Sanders. Respectfully submitted this first day of May 2025. Yeah, I'm sure the court's gonna be like, you know what? I think what was said about Shedeur Sanders was very harmful. You'll have your day in court, sir. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I submit this to the court for their.
It's like,
the court,
anything, I guess.
Yeah. The court has their response denied.
Yeah. Yeah. Not even
But I
that.
mean,
They don't
on
even
top of
respond
all,
to you. They're just like, what? Oh,
yeah, and on top of all that, where do you get the number $100 million? Where does that come from? It's just,
yeah, that sounds reasonable. Maybe the lawyer was talking. It's like, you know what? I want some of that money. So you sue for $100 million. I'll take 30 of that. That sounds good. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, they take their cut. Yeah, let's do that.
I just have to look this up just because it'll be a case that, yeah. So the California civil court that found O.J. Simpson liable for damages to the Goldmans and for Nicole Brown too, obviously, but it's when Ron Goldman sued O.J. Simpson in civil court after the criminal court case. He was found liable for her death and ordered to pay damages. Now, this is the civil court because obviously civil court has a lower bar for evidence. Mm-hmm. It's just like preponderance of evidence, not beyond a shadow of a doubt. So this is murder, is what we're saying. No. It's your fault that my son is dead. He was ordered to pay $33.5 million.
Whoa.
But $100 million because I'm sad that Shedeur Sanders is a Cleveland Brown.
Hey, due to inflation. Maybe that's equal. I don't know. Yeah.
So that's wrongful death was $33.5 million versus I'm upset about the draft. Jesus, man.
Alan, if someone pisses you off, you can just sue them for $150 million. Hey, maybe you never know. You could get your money and not ever do a show ever again. You can just go out and live somewhere in Belize or whatever, or go on vacation wherever you want to go. Get all that money. Yeah, why not? I don't know. That was the first one that came to my head. I don't know.
See, you say that, but see, this is the thing though, is that if I won $100 million like tonight. You're insinuating that means that I would just quit doing all of this and go like on exotic destinations around the world.
Well, not just for a couple of weeks, take a vacation.
What it actually would mean is I would quit everything else and I would just do this.
That's a good point too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just do
it'd be really weird. It'd be one of those like, I wouldn't tell people, but there would be signs. I would just connect with you one Friday night to do this show, except for I would be like in a fucking theater. Like,
man, where'd you get that from?
They're sitting here doing my makeup and we got the whole shit and everything. And I'm sitting
going out while I'm here. Am I, doing whatever I'm doing?
Oh yeah, I wouldn't tip you off at all. I'd just be like, I'm doing the show with Shane. What do you?
Who's that over there?
Yeah.
Got some hot women just hanging around.
Well, I mean, I don't know. That's not how I'm going to spend my money, Shane.
Oh,
just having hot women hanging around. What is that supposed to mean? Jesus.
Look, I had a little bit to drink before this, so I'm saying some wild stuff. All right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, speaking of saying some wild stuff, before the show's over, because I know you have to
'cause
go.
I'm already
I know.
1 minute into
Yeah.
bed.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about this, but this will take.
You're not sorry about what's about to happen. I
No,
already know
you're-
what you're about to do.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna listen to the newest Tom Myers monologue. Now, I will say this. Last time I said that there was one joke that I thought was not bad.
Mhm.
Not this time.
Oh, we've regressed.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
He sucks. He sucks big time. Ball
Dadgummit. All right.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Hello, and welcome to Tom Myers versus the rest of the world. A lot's been going on this week. In a recent interview, when asked if he believed that he was upholding the Constitution of the United States, Donald Trump responded, "I don't know." To be fair, that is a lot more syllables than he's used to hearing. Following the funeral of Pope Francis, Trump.
So very first one was Trump. Very first one's Trump.
Yeah.
Right.
But that joke didn't make any sense. What do you mean that's the most? Whatever. Anyway.
Generated image of himself as the Pope. I suppose you could say he qualifies a little in that he's covered up sexual assaults, but they have been against adults and women. So those are two disqualifying factors from him getting the job.
So the second
Using
one
that
involves
logic-
Trump.
Yes.
Where is that? It was that the whole monologue?
A better Pope than Donald Trump now, and he's dead.
That's 3 about Trump.
Trump announced he wants to cut off funding to PBS and NPR.
That's 4.
He's doing it that way since they haven't been defunded the old-fashioned way, pushing election conspiracy theories and being served a defamatory judgment against them like Fox and Newsmax. House Speaker Mike Johnson says Congress will move to fix the budget crisis in D.C. Knowing Mike Johnson, that probably means setting the city on fire for a hefty insurance payout.
He didn't say Trump. So
Yeah.
we're down to only an 80%. 4 out of
The woman
5.
who kidnapped Elizabeth Smart was arrested after visiting 2 parks, which was a violation of her parole, just when she thought Trump cutting the National Park Service was coming in handy for her.
5 of 6.
In news local for me anyway, the Baltimore Ravens released their kicker, Justin Tucker. He does have a fallback career, as he's a trained opera singer, a skill he picked up during the many orgasms he received during his massages.
5 of
I'm going
7.
to get some shit for that one.
No
From
one heard
who?
it, Tom. Yeah.
Okay.
And for these coming up, I'm amazed this was kept a secret for so long. If he screamed in ecstasy at a parlor in Middle River, it can easily be heard across Baltimore County and Reisterstown. This is quite a downfall for Justin Tucker. You had to have fucked up bad in order to ruin everyone in Eastern Baltimore County's chances of getting laid. Of course, Justin Tucker jerseys are now on sale at a big discount, which is just as well, as many people will fittingly keep them under their beds with the rest of their cum rags. Of course, this means Justin Tucker's lost his endorsement deal with Royal Farms. Now, a lot of people are applying for that job.
Now it's 5 for Trump, 5 for Justin Tucker.
Yeah.
All right.
Up now and clamoring for it. I want it, to be honest. Sure, I hate advertising, but it technically won't be selling out, as I only want to get paid in chicken and potato wedges. Lee Zeldin, the head of the Environmental Protection Agency, says he plans to cut the agency down to Reagan-era levels of staffing. That's fitting, as Trump's cognition is the same as Reagan's hours before his death.
So that's 6 Trump, 5 Justin Tucker.
And on
That's
that
it.
cheer,
That's it.
Wow. So
There you go.
he got another Trump win in right at the end
Yeah.
to surpass the Justin Tucker jokes that no one cares about at all. Jesus.
Well, to be fair to Tom, he does live in Baltimore, so it's
Yeah.
local
really-
to him, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't look like the kind of person that would live in Baltimore.
Well, Maybe he's one of them. If you watch The Wire, he's one of them docs. He's one of them dock workers. He looks like a dock worker, right?
I guarantee you that the dock workers have better jokes than that.
Yeah,
Guarantee. I know that they would.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. But yeah, see, terrible. Terrible.
So bad. There was one Mike Johnson in between the Trump and Justin Tucker segments.
Yeah.
And then one last Trump.
Maybe the next time he has one, we'll play a game. How many Trump jokes is there going to be in this monologue? There you go. We should do that.
Yeah. I feel like if there wasn't something in the news that was like Baltimore adjacent, then it would have probably been way more Trump. But
yeah,
he felt compelled to do Baltimore stuff.
Well, and I mentioned before too, when all the Massey versus Trump stuff was going on, and no monologue, no mention in the monologue from Tom, and I'm thinking it's probably because he had to praise a Republican because in his world, all R's are bad and all D's are good.
Oh, absolutely. You are 100% right. In his limited worldview, he doesn't see any difference between Thomas Massey and Donald Trump because he doesn't know it. So a guy who's like all of his jokes are basically, look how smart I am, look how dumb Trump is, and he doesn't know. He doesn't know who Thomas Massey is, much less.
Yeah. He's from Kentucky, some hillbilly state is what he thinks.
I'll you know what, if we were doing like, the game where you have to give a compliment, I would say, considering that his monologue is only like 2 minutes long, he did have like 12 jokes. We're really we're really being fast and loose with the term joke and monologue, but in his monologue he had 12 jokes. And the monologue was only like 2 minutes and so many seconds. I mean, I would usually only do like maybe 8 bits or so in a monologue that would be like, 5, 6, 7 minutes. But that would include like the intro, and introducing Dave, and then we would always have like, because my show's not just a thumbnail and a bunch of weird people laughing in the background. My show has production value, and so we have like, I feel like I'm not saying that this would fix him, because there is no fixing someone as absolutely lost as Tom Myers. But if he was gonna do his shtick of, I'm gonna bring up some random thing and it's just gonna be this really flat deadpan punchline, then you expect it to be accompanied by something. Yeah. Like he says the thing and then it pops up on the screen. But for him, there's no, like, you're waiting for the punchline, but then he just starts the next joke. And now you get increasingly confused. Like, when are you going to finish the first joke? We're on the 7th. Jesus, why do you keep doing this?
I don't know. Maybe one day I'll just stop doing it, but we'll see.
Tom Myers should try doing a stream where him and the gang answer 31 questions.
Hey, that would actually be kind of interesting to hear what he would have to say about that.
Yeah. You already know he would figure out some way to take 31 totally innocuous questions and make them about Trump. That's what he would do.
Trump has no life. What are you, crazy? He's a Hitler. He's Hitler.
So, what's my biggest irrational fear? Oh, another Trump term.
Right.
Yeah, that's what he would do. That's 100%. So never mind. Forget I said anything. No, fuck him.
Yeah,
no 31 questions for him.
I'll cut that part out. Alan, so I know you have a live show coming up soon, very, very soon.
Really soon. Yeah.
So, I know we're a little over time that we wanted to do, but that's okay. Where can they see your show? It's Too Late with Alan Mosley. Wednesdays.
So Wednesdays at 9:00 Eastern time, but I mean, probably nowhere now. I mean, if you want to see it now, you have to come here. You have to come to Columbia, Tennessee, a week from tomorrow.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I should probably start planning this event and coming up with a show. But a week from tomorrow is the 7th.
Hell
annual It's Too Late live show.
Hell yeah.
Saturday, May 17th, Columbia, Tennessee. There's going to be kangaroos. There's going to be lemurs. There's going to be sloth. So you can bring the kids. It's going to be a great time. You know, the thing, this is like a random side meta comment, but I was always planning on for my last big live event in person to do like, you know, my best stuff, like a really good stand-up special, and then you know, like a really good monologue with all of like my spiciest jokes that you wouldn't just hear anywhere because you'd get canceled.
Yeah.
And then we'd have the rest of the show with the meme of the week and the viewer mail and the guest and all that. But it's really a family friendly event. And so by the time we get to the point in the evening where it's time to, like, you know, gather around, children, you know, we're going to go up on stage and we're going to put on a little presentation. There's going to be like a dozen children there. So I don't know, you know,
maybe we should have done like a general audience version and then a 18+ version. I don't know.
It's one of those things where it's like, if I was going to do another live event, if there was ever going to be an 8th annual It's Too Late live show, then I would be like, this is going to be in a, you know, like, we'll still have festivities throughout the weekend, but the late night show is going to be like adult.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, it's not like we're going to be, you know, it's not like you're going to see anything risque. It's just I have things to say about certain people, you know.
Yeah, right.
And you know, I don't know if you would want to you know, take your son to a show where the host was was asking questions like, it's them again, isn't it, Shane? It's always them. That's, you know, might be a bridge too far.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
So we're probably not going to do that, is what I'm saying. We're probably going to keep the show family friendly because the whole event weekend is very family friendly. So we'll just have to do that dream some other time. But I am excited to bring back the live event, and there's going to be banana pudding and cookies and all the animals I mentioned, plus a whole bunch and a capybara. There's going to be a capybara now. Yeah. Nothing I've said is a lie or an exaggeration, but you know, you've seen the pictures. Like, this is all legit. Yeah. So if you didn't come last year because you thought this guy's full of shit, well, you missed out, didn't you? So you come this year.
Yeah, I missed
out. You got to get your tickets.
We missed out.
Yeah.
We missed out on the show. So
yeah. Just think if we ever do it again, man, just think how much fun everybody will have. You get to sit there on the couch and hold the little baby kangaroo, and
yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Where else can you go for such an experience?
Petting zoo, maybe?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know of any petting zoos where you get to get that close to all those exotic animals.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe some of them, but I don't know.
I mean, I've been to zoos where you can see them, but not where I could just walk up to them.
Hey, little buddy, how you doing?
Yeah. And the sloth, you get to pet a sloth.
Whoa.
Is that not nuts? Yeah.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Alan. Thanks for doing the show. Maybe we'll do a show next week. I don't know. It depends on how busy you are, because I know you're going to be very busy getting that show, that live event.
I mean, I can click on your link on my phone and you'll see like 40 people back here in the background. Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll have to skip next week. That's probably what's going to happen. We'll probably skip next week because I want you to focus on that. You don't have to worry about doing this dumb show and listening to another stupid Tom Myers monologue and whatever stupid stuff I have you do on this show. But I appreciate it. So thank you so much. So yeah, that's it. And have a good one, everybody. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be.